had to call the police on the family I babysit for because they were trying to force me to leave their children with two drunk strangers who they met at the bar that night, who also were trying to break into their home. Yeah, I cannot believe this happened. The kicker is that I was not even being paid to babysit these kids. The woman was my mom's coworker, and it was her and her husband's anniversary. I guess their babysitter canceled last minute, and my mom just volunteered me up because she knew I didn't have plans. But whatever, I thought that I was doing something nice for a couple on their anniversary, but yeah, shouldn't have done it. Maybe I should have known better, because when we were setting all of this up, I told the parents that I had to leave by 10 p.m. that night because I had a test the next morning at 8 a.m. that I needed to get home for, get a good night's sleep. And the mom goes, "Oh, could you make it 11? And I was like, no, I can't make it 11. You know what? It's your anniversary. 10:30. I can do 10:30, but really, like, 10:30 is a hard cutoff because I need to get home. I also really hate driving late at night, so I just did not want to be out late. And the parents were like, nope, that's fine. Yeah, it should be fine because I'm doing it for free. I get to their house at about 6 p.m. and the first thing I notice is that it's an absolute disaster. Dirty clothes all over the floor. The sink is piled high with dirty dishes. It is a mess. And I'm not here to judge, okay? You have 3 kids, a busy household. If chores get away from you, you know, that is totally understandable. But what I do have an issue with is when the mom looks at me, she goes, yeah, as you can see, it's pretty messy around here. So I'm gonna show you where the cleaning supplies are. And if you could just go ahead and maybe clean the house a little bit while you're here, that would be great. I'm sorry, what? I am here to babysit your children for free. I am not here to clean your house. I don't even say anything. I know at that point that I'm not gonna be cleaning their entire house. Maybe I'll do the dishes, but yeah, no way I was cleaning the entire house. But I'm just smiling and nodding, not saying anything. And it doesn't seem like the parents can get out that door fast enough. Like, they're just rushing through explaining how to take care of the kids. And then just like that, they're gone. And I very quickly realized why they wanted to get out of that house so fast, because as soon as they leave, I see the reason that house is a disaster, because those kids were chaotic. As soon as their parents left, those kids were going through closets, ripping the clothes out, going into the pantry, throwing food. And as much as I was trying to stop them, there was nothing I could do. Those kids were on a mission to destroy the home, and that's what they were gonna do. But finally, I get them to bed at around 9. I spend about an hour cleaning the house, and by 10 p.m., I'm exhausted. I have never been more tired in my life. I am so ready to go home and go to sleep in 30 minutes when I get a text from the dad saying, hey, we're trying out this new bar and having the best time. So looks like we're not gonna be able to make it home until bar close at midnight. Hope that's okay and hope everything's going well, smiley face. I respond immediately saying, no, I told you, I have a firm cutoff at 10:30. I need to get home and go to sleep. He responds, oh, well, you can just feel free to sleep on the couch. We'll wake you up when we come back. I said, no, that is not going to work. I need to go home and get a good night's sleep in my own bed. About 15 minutes pass and I don't hear anything from either parent. So I'm starting to freak out a little bit when all of a sudden the dad calls me. I answer and I can barely hear a thing he's saying because the bar they're at is so loud. He's like, hey, can you hear me? I'm like, kind of. And he tells me that, don't worry, we got it figured out. We are sending over the new friends we met at the bar tonight to stay with the kids until we get home. I said, what are you talking about? What do you mean new friends you met at the bar? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. They're great. Love them. Then the dad just hangs up on me. I try calling back, no answer. I try texting, no response. And I am thinking that he has to be kidding because there's no way that he would just send absolute strangers over to his home to watch his children. But I was wrong because about 20 minutes later, I hear a banging on the door. I look through the people and I see what are 2 very clearly drunk 30-somethings who are holding fast food bags and they're just kind of like swaying, talking to each other. I can hear the woman through the door and she's slurring her words, clearly very, very intoxicated. Then I hear the man say, who is as equally drunk as the woman, hey, we're here to watch the kids, let us in. There's absolutely no way I'm letting them in. So I'm thinking, okay, if I just ignore them, they have to go away, right? No, wrong. They continued to pound on the door so loudly that all of the kids ended up waking up and coming downstairs to see what was going on. I was like, it's just a movie, just something on TV, go back to bed. At this point, I realized I'm just gonna have to take my test absolutely exhausted because there's no way I'm leaving these children alone with strangers who are so intoxicated. Finally, I say through the door, don't worry about it, it's all taken care of. And I thought that this would make them go away, but it didn't. It just made them both angry. They're like, what are you talking about? We came all the way over here to watch the kids, so you need to let us in the house. And they just start going off on me from outside the door. So I immediately go, I'm trying to call both the mom and the dad. They're not answering. I'm texting them both. Can you please text your friends and let them know that they can go? I'll just stay here with the kids. And they're not responding. Finally, when the dad does respond after me texting and calling him tons of times, he's like, well, we don't have their phone number. Sorry. You don't have their phone number? You didn't have a way to contact the people that were going to be watching your children? Then all of a sudden I start hearing weird noises coming from the backyard, and I realize that they are now going to the back and trying all the doors and the windows to see if any are unlocked, which they aren't, but they're still trying. That's when I hear an insanely loud crash, and I realize that the woman has taken a rock from outside and has thrown it at the window to try to break it and get in. And at this point, I was like, okay, I need to call the cops. So I call the cops, and I am sobbing because it's terrifying. There are people trying to break in. This woman threw a rock at the window, and I'm explaining to them what's going on, and they took me very seriously, and there were officers there within 10 minutes. One of the cops is inside talking to me, and the other is outside talking to the parents' new friends. And eventually, even though I hear arguing between this drunk couple and the police officer, they eventually leave. The police officers tell me I did the right thing calling, and they said, listen, we've called the parents, they're on their way home, and we will stay with the kids until the parents get here because obviously they needed to talk to the parents as well. And I said, perfect, see ya, I gotta go. Because no part of me wanted to ever talk to those parents again. I expected one of the parents to reach out to me, maybe to apologize, but nope, that's not what happened. Instead, the mom confronted my mom at work. She just starts going off on my mom about how I embarrassed her and her husband because all of their neighbors came outside when they heard the police cars, and how I could have just left their kids with that couple and none of this would have happened, and how the police officers reprimanded them, and this could have all been avoided if I just would have done what I was told. I'm sorry, leave your children with drunk strangers. Not happening. And to top it all off, she says to my mom, and your daughter didn't even clean. All she did was clean the kitchen. She could have taken the time to clean our entire house. That would have been considerate of her, but instead she just left it a mess. What? And she is not talking about a mess that I made and didn't clean up. Any mess that was made while I was there was cleaned up, and there was a lot of mess made because those kids, again, like I said, tore everything out of their closets, but that was all cleaned up. The house was actually cleaner after I left than when I got there. But she was upset that I didn't clean the entire house. Why would I do that? Of course, my mom completely told her off, but it just was not registering with that woman what she did wrong. So, I mean, some people are just like that. You know what? They just really think that they're in the right even when nobody else would. So that's the last time that I ever babysit for someone as a favor.